So the World Cup is underway now. Both the opening games in Group A have been played now. So let's get into this. Let's look at both these games. Had obviously Mexico starting off with a win, and also South Korea starting off with a win in their game as well. We've had a winner in both games, so that's the opening day. The opening games in Group A played, and it was a good start. Good start to the tournament. Started Mexico against South Africa. I had my prediction right for this one actually, in fact, as well. I said 2-0 Mexico win. The game itself went about how I expected to, in terms of Mexico dominating, getting the goal early, and then waiting for the opportunity to get the second in the second half. It's kind of what I expected in that sense. What I did not expect was the 3 red cards, but we'll come to that. But in terms of the game, obviously, Mexico being one of the hosts, it was actually, in terms of the 3 host nations, the one I was probably most looking forward to seeing play as a host, and the one that I was most looking forward to seeing them host their games, because I think, they've got fantastic fans. I think there'll be fantastic atmosphere, and it was yesterday. It was a fantastic atmosphere, fantastic stadium as well. The stadium in Mexico City. Apparently as well, it's hosted more World Cup games than any other venue, because obviously they've hosted the World Cup twice before Mexico as well, and they're capable of hosting it on their own. I think, definitely the games that I think will have the best atmosphere in the games they're hosting. I mean, we don't really know yet what the ones in the United States and Canada are going to look like. We don't really know how many countries are going to be able to bring, like how many countries are going to be able to bring like a lot of supporters over and stuff. So that's all remains to be seen. But Mexico, certainly looking forward to them hosting their games, especially as if they are to get to the round 16, they'll host all the games up to that point as well. So that they're playing in. So yeah, fantastic atmosphere, fantastic support there for Mexico. Game starts, Mexico on top really straight away, and they get the goal early. And I have to say, I didn't really know too much about Julian Quinones coming into the tournament. Not really heard of him, but this is what's good about the World Cup. We see players really, we see this happen. We see players that are not really that known of really make a name for himself. Now, this is someone who I didn't know this until yesterday. He outscored Ronaldo and Tony in the Saudi Pro League. So continuing on his goal scoring form, got the opening goal of the tournament early on as well to put Mexico in the lead, to put the hosts 1-0 up early on, and from that point they was on top, weren't they? And it come from a South African mistake. It was a very, very poor mistake, it has to be said, to allow them through like that. But he takes the goal well, puts the team 1-0 up, and for the rest of the first half it very much was Mexico on top. Obviously we had every game in the World Cup, because of the conditions, it's going to have the drinks break in the halfway through the first half and halfway through the second half, which is good. I didn't think it disrupted the flow of the game at all, really. Going into the second half, South Africa get a red card early on, which really, really hurts the chances. And of course, it being the same player that given away not the day from giving it was the same player that had given away the opportunity for the first goal as well. And the other 2 up for debate. I think this is definitely a red card. Clean through on goal. Obviously contact was outside the box, so definitely not a penalty, but you take someone down when they're 1-on-1 on goal as the last man, you're going to be sent off. That's just just how it is. A straight red card there. No questions asked really about that. But from that point, Mexico really on top. From that point, it really is very tough for South Africa playing there with 10 men. Most people did, myself included, did have them bottom of this group. Definitely not writing them off. They could still get it back in. There's 2 games to go, but what we saw yesterday was not great, really. I mean, they didn't really have much to at all really to say for themselves going forward. No real no real attacking threat. I thought Mexico certainly played very well. I think they I think as a host nation, I think they could really utilise being a host nation well. I think they could really go quite far in this tournament. Mexico, they could have a very good tournament here. They're always reliable in the World Cup. They're always consistent, and they always so often get to the knockout stage. We've not seen them go beyond that for a long time, but could this be the time they do? Possibly. I think they've got a very good team together here, and I mean a lot of talent, a lot of players playing at a top level, and I think they come together as a team really well yesterday. Good atmosphere. They get the second goal as well, of course. It's Raul Jimenez, his first ever World Cup goal as well, 35 years old, and very pleased that he got on the score sheet. He certainly deserved his goal, and to get Mexico 2-0 up. By that point, South Africa down to 10 men, 2-0 down with not long to go. There's no way back for them now. But then comes the second red card, and this is my only worry. I did find that a bit, soft for a red card. I mean, it's a bit clumsy, but it wasn't particularly much contact. It was a sort of shove in the face, but it was more accidental. It wasn't, like an elbow in the face or anything like that. So for it to be a sending off felt harsh. Definitely a yellow. Same with that. The last one, the Mexico sending off, was definitely a yellow as well. But again, sending off feels a bit harsh there. Montez sent off Mexico now without a very important player for them going into the next game. But otherwise, I thought, other than the 2 second half reds, the first one was definitely a red. It was a bit. I hope that's just not a sign of things to come. Maybe players just getting sent off and then being a bit soft, because we don't really need that. I don't really think they were sending off. So I thought the first one definitely was, though. Going into the rest of the, it'll be interesting now to see how many more red cards there are now, because 3 already in this World Cup. Apparently there's only 4 in the last World Cup, so it's already almost equal. But certainly a fantastic start from Mexico. What I expected. I expected them to start strong with a convincing home win, and they did. Sets them up very nicely. They'll definitely be aiming to top this group, and I think that's what a lot of people are anticipating. And yeah, shame about them going down to 10 men, but other than that, fantastic day for them. You can see how much there's all the fans, the players, is all enjoying the occasion, hosting a World Cup game, and starting with the win. Very good from Mexico, very convincing South Africa. It was fantastic for them to be in the World Cup again, and to be not played in it much before. It's very, very good for their fans to get to be there and all of that. But I have to say, it didn't fill me with much confidence that they're going to do much at this tournament. Their performance yesterday. As for the other game, though, the later game, now I did watch Mexico against South Africa. I was not able to watch South Korea against Czech Republic. I did see on the highlights this morning, of course, but some games are kicking off, their evening kick-off, so I'll be able to watch. But I know some people are saying, oh yeah, we're going to watch every World Cup game, and if so, I have nothing but respect for the dedication. But it's not possible. I'm not be able to watch every game. There's probably going to be a lot of games that I'm going to want to watch and not going to be able to watch just because of the times they've been played. Being in the UK, a lot of them kicking off in our time, 2:30, 3:30 AM kickoff, so it's just not physically possible to watch every match. But I'll be covering everything I can and watching as many as possible, and definitely going to see what I can of it for sure. And I saw the highlights of this game this morning, and game that really seemed to really come alive in the second half. And what I could see, though, South Korea looked like they very much dominated that first half, and well, they certainly it's quite close. It was always a game that could go either way. I actually said a draw for my predictions. I said a 2-2. Most people went for South Korea to get second in this group. I actually put Czech ahead of them, which is not looking too great of a prediction now, but it's, like I say, very early days with 3 teams can go through in the group stages now potentially, so it very much opens it up a bit. It's, even after the first sort of results, it's never not game over for anyone yet for sure, but South Korea definitely set themselves up nicely for the rest of the group stage. Getting that win there, they got themselves in a very good position to kick on and qualify for sure. But like I said, dominate the first half. South Korea couldn't find their way through, but Czech, I think where they're going to be really dangerous is those set pieces. We see them get one from a corner in the second half, really good corner, really good header, get themselves 1-0 up, 60 minutes in, big time to score, big goal to score, going 1-0 up, real, somewhat against the run of play. It was very much because it did look like South Korea dominated a lot of the game overall, but reasonably close. But it looked like South Korea was the better side. But them when they went 1-0 up, you're thinking maybe they could get the ready to get the result here. But obviously they do find their way back into the game. South Korea, I have to say they played some really good football as well. I thought they played really well, really good team we've seen a lot of improvement. Another team that's seen a lot of improvement over recent years, coming into the World Cups now. They're coming in as a real sort of team that can do some damage. They're not just someone who's just qualified, making up the numbers. They're here this time to cause teams problems, and that's certainly what they look like they're going to do. Yesterday, played some really good football. They really did play well. And we saw Lee Chang-ing, definitely their best player, really promising young player. Looks like they got there. He was making everything happen for them all over the pitch. He was a far man of the match yesterday, sure. But really well worked goal to get South Korea back in the game. Really good goal. But they do get themselves back in front, of course. Czech. Another set piece, another free kick this time though, and this one's chalked off for offside. So again, they thought they got themselves back in front, wasn't to be, and shortly after we see South Korea go on and win it. So you know, definitely overall, if you look at the stats, you look at the performance, South Korea definitely deserved the win there. Czech, it was unfortunate for them. I think they have could cause teams problems with those set pieces. I think they could still get it back over the remaining games, but South Korea there certainly look like they're going to be a good side coming into this tournament. They certainly look good there. Well worked second goal as well. They look like they're could have a good tournament. I thought it's impressed with them. Very impressive Mexico. I thought they were very strong, very convincing. So that rounds up our the Group A first games. We see Mexico win 2-0 against South Africa, very strong performance, and we see South Korea come from behind against Czech in that second half. All the goals in the second half really coming alive in that second half. Seeing them come from behind, get a victory in their first game as well. So that sums up Group A opening game.